Welcome to the Fire Sprinkler Podcast with Chris and Logan. InspectPoint is a software specifically created for the fire protection industry, optimizing the process and workflow for everything from inspection, testing, and maintenance to follow-up service. Everything from scheduling, NFPA or ULC compliant inspections, deficiency follow-ups, and work orders. Check them out today at inspectpoint.com/FSP for a free 1-month trial.
Like and subscribe.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Fire Sprinkler Podcast. On this episode, we have Drew Slocum. Let's start again.
Oh, no, you don't.
Let's keep rolling with it.
Keep
Perfect.
rolling.
That works with me. Oh, I love that so much better. Drew Slocum from InspectPoint. Drew, how's it going today?
Great. Nice wintry day here, and I took a little hiatus, a couple weeks working remotely down here in South Carolina. So that's the nice part of remote work these days is you can kind of work from anywhere, right?
That's been aside me being in Canada, you being in the US, things are a little more stricter as far as traveling is concerned. But that's been the good thing about the way I'm set up with work is that I can bring my laptop anywhere and do the same thing I do if I'm at the office or at home. Going on vacations was always a big pain in the ass because the laptop came and it was always pulled out after the kids go to bed. But right. Here we are, right? I've basically been preparing for this my entire career.
Pandemic or non-pandemic, you were getting ready for it.
That's right. Yeah. And now I'm fully set up at home and I'm not going back to the office. So call me if you need me is essentially what the what the word is here. So the reason we're doing the podcast today is we're going to talk about InspectPoint, get into some of the changes that have happened with InspectPoint. You guys have made some headlines over social media the past couple weeks. What's up with that?
A lot of hard years, a lot of hard work over the years, being in fire protection for a while. It was my dream to really come together with some other professionals to create a solution for the industry where it was definitely needed. Mm-hmm. And we were a bootstrapped company that the four founders really worked hard to kind of get it off the ground and kind of did it on the side for a few years to see if it would stick, and had to make the leap to really go after it and try to make an impact in fire protection with the InspectPoint software. So it hit, and we were kind of in the phase of we could keep plodding along and growing, hiring one or so employees every few months, but to really, we have some great ideas. I have some great ideas that are really want to transform the industry, as well as, just putting different technology into play. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, you need cash, right? So, we partnered up with Mainsail Partners, and they've got a lot of great expertise in the software space, with field service management and other things. So, I think it's just a perfect marriage, and really allows us to put new ideas out there and get into remote inspection, get into some of the technologies that are kind of about to hit the industry, right? And just really push ahead with those.
Be able to as opposed to kind of following the trends, it gives you guys the opportunity to create the trends and make everybody follow you, which is awesome. Like that's, that's what the industry is about. It's evolving every damn day. Something new's coming up. So when, companies like you guys that have been, what are you guys, 4 years, 5 years in?
I think it's officially 6, but like
6. Okay. Yeah.
Really 4 where we're all going after it, full time. So, right.
So it's 6 years is still pretty new for a company, and you guys have gone all across. Are you guys mainly North America? You know what? We're really getting into the weeds. InspectPoint, for anybody who's listening to this and hasn't heard of InspectPoint, which I think would be crazy at this point. InspectPoint is an inspection-based software utilizing iPads. Are you guys available on all types of
We're only
tablets now?
iPad and iPhone right now.
Okay.
We've tooled with Android over the years, but the iOS devices kind of rule the market, and we try to make ease of use in the field for the technicians, and
Right.
for us to develop too. It's so much faster, and we can put out a lot more content. Anyway, that's why we've gone that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So an inspection-based software for everything: fire protection, fire alarm, sprinkler, extinguishers, everything, right? Standpipe,
Correct.
everything.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, there. Now we
Yep.
can get back into the So what kind of what are some of these kind of crazy ideas that required you guys? Let's get into it real deep. What are some of the
Right.
crazy ideas that you guys had that you needed outside investment that you weren't able to kind of come up with?
I mean, we've created a great inspection platform,
Mhm.
and we have a few competitors on the inspection side that are focused on the inspection, but we're getting into a full aspect, but by not only doing inspections per NFPA and ULC in Canada, um, but bringing in those templates, but getting into the follow-up, the proposal aspects, the service aspects, time tracking, grabbing payments in the field. So it's that full process, not just the inspection. So there's no product currently on the market that does all of that. I
Right.
think we're the closest to that. So we've got to fill some holes in some of those field service management gaps, like collecting payment in the field, or there's some really fun ideas on the purchasing side, because materials becoming over the last year, material's been tough to get in
Right.
all aspects of life, right? So if we can just speed that up by a day or two, like, you get your job done,
Yeah.
potentially a week quicker now. So, and you get paid quicker. So I think if we can fill in some of those gaps where that full workflow comes in, I think that really propels us forward.
So adding on to I mean, I think the last time we talked was like a year and a half, almost 2. You're right around the beginning of COVID, which was
Yeah.
2020, the beginning of 2020.
Yeah.
Damn, that hurts to say.
Yeah.
What kind of influxes and what kind of changes to your software platform has come out of this? Have you guys made changes based off of the pandemic? Like, has there been evolutions to your product since the pandemic?
Yeah, I guess you could put it that way. I mean, we keep building on the fire protection aspects, and we brought in last year, a lot was dedicated to the Canadian market,
Mhm.
Canadian fire alarm market. Honestly, they're pretty. There's a great ULC code up there that all the provinces and different cities follow, but it's super specific. So creating a whole workflow and solution around that was big for our clients up there, and we're going to keep pushing that forward. But just so that has nothing to do with the pandemic, but more things that we put in the platform regarding kind of the proposal and the quotation side of it. So when you do an inspection in the field, every deficiency is logged, right? And
Right.
we have a full deficiency management and history of when it was first opened, when a proposal was sent out, when it was seen by the property owner.
Mhm.
So I think that's becoming with a lot of the third-party compliance platforms, that's being looked at more, because you have to manage your deficiencies at a building level.
Right.
And I think that's a critical piece to, obviously, the compliance and safety of the building, but also the follow-up revenue for that service contractor, that fire protection contractor, making sure it's out to the client. You're not mailing you're not mailing a quote anymore,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Faxing.
So all that's all digital now. You can see when the building owner opens up and reads the proposal, it's tied to the specific code reference
Mhm.
from NFPA or ULC. So everything's kind of tracked all within there. And some, property managers aren't always on site. So you have to have, remote access to inspection reports, deficiencies, and all
Right.
that. So
Different I mean, one of the things that kind of we do, we're not as evolved as a lot of the industries out there. We got a couple people that are stuck in their ways, and
yeah,
a lot of handwritten notes stuck in files as far as, oh,
oh yeah,
the key code for this door to get into the valve room is written on the back of the instruction manual for the fire alarm panel at the front. And to get into the fire alarm panel, you need the key, which is in the spare sprinkler box in the valve room. Like, oh,
Right.
that's awesome.
Right.
The ability to put those kind of notes in your software and have them all available is pretty crucial,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, you need that because a tech might be sick one day. You got to
You
flip
might, yeah,
them
you
in
might have
for
the
another
different guy.
technician.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yep. And as well as the history, the previous inspection reports, like it's a requirement to review the extra or the previous inspection reports to find out if any deficiencies are still there or if they've been rectified. But
Right.
9 times out of 10, if it's a new sprinkler contractor, the building owner isn't going to be like, here's last year's report.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. So with our platform, you don't even need to review the inspection report. You actually could just go to the deficiency report and see the full history of those deficiencies over time. So, those reports get pretty big, right?
Mhm.
Depending on the size of the building. So if you just look at the deficiency report and see what critical ones were there, what non-critical, obviously if there's an impairment, there's a big issue.
Yep.
But I think all that being reported back up, and you're going to start seeing that probably Canada a little bit more, but definitely in the US, there's these compliance platforms where a lot of that data, all that deficiency data, inspection data is going back to the fire jurisdiction. So
Mhm.
they can point their resources at the impairments or the critical deficiencies. So
Right.
there's stuff coming in the first half of the year with us to really merge those two, those compliance platforms together with our nice ITM solution. So
Awesome. You spoke about the kind of the inspect point. I'll call it the inspect point Canadian invasion here. You guys are starting to make your way into Canada, which is awesome.
Yeah.
A lot of I won't say manufacturers, but a lot of software kind of focus on the US market because it's a huge market and not so
Sure.
much forgets about Canada, but here we are.
Yeah.
How has the Canadian you guys coming into Canada been for you?
It's been a home run, and it's been probably 3 years at this point. I think maybe
Right.
two or 3 years. And a lot of it's what standards you adopt, right? And if it's NFPA, obviously we had to go outside the box with ULC, but it's similar to NFPA 72 with I actually like the ULC code a little bit better than NFPA 72 because there's actually a standard out there. There's a little bit more structure to it.
Right.
But English speaking country, right? We're from upstate New York,
Most
so
of us.
we're practically on the border of Quebec and Ontario. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and we translate the product into French,
Okay.
French Canadian. So we have that for the Quebec and other it's other province. But
when you say translated into French Canadian, I'm assuming you've added multiple tabernacles in there. There's got to be a lot of swearing. A lot more swearing is involved in.
that would be funny. Whoever did the translate, because we have translation services that will do because our product's globalized, so we can translate it into any language. But we need the fire protection expertise translation, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I hope somebody had fun with it and tossed a curse word in there or something.
It is broken tabernacle. I have a lot of excellent friends, a lot of great friends in Quebec. So it's a good joke between, I went to trade school with a lot of the guys from Quebec would come over working in Ontario and stuff. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, nothing against the Quebecs. It's a funny joke going back and forth there.
That's funny.
Where else are you guys? Are worldwide now? You guys are over your do you have any consumers in like the UK?
No, we're looking to expand over into elsewhere in the US, but we have a good amount of clients in Latin America, so we translate into Spanish as well.
Right.
Not fully yet, like we do in French, but to go to a different jurisdiction, you have to learn the jurisdictional. If they're on NFPA, great, right? Yeah. We can do that today, but UK is like incredibly difficult to get inside their code. But again, there's so much in the US to go after. I mean, 50% of the service providers and contractors are still on pen, paper, Excel, or PDF. So why, their comfort, that's where their comfort level is.
That's right.
And you got to break them beyond that. And I think that's my job. That's our job to try to show the benefits of moving digital. So.
And it's all about evolution, right?
Yeah.
If you're not moving forward, you're going backwards. There's no standing still in fire protection anymore. There was when my grandfather was in the industry and still alive, it was groove couplings are going to be the end of the industry, right?
Right.
It's gonna cut the manpower. It's gonna cut this. It's gonna cut that. And then it was flex drops are going to be the death of the industry. It's going to cut down jobs. There's going to be sprinkler fitters sitting at home, can't feed their families.
Sure.
And it's constantly, but in the end, there's almost consistently since these new products come out been a shortage of manpower in the fire protection industry.
Correct.
Just unable to be able to, as these products come out, fire protection is getting more and more common.
Mhm.
So more buildings are being sprinklered. So it's the name of the game now is to be the fastest guy to do the job, because that's cost effectiveness, and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Right. And it's
Yeah,
the
and
same with inspections too, right? Like if it takes me, because I'm writing things down and then maybe translating them to pen and paper, my cost goes up.
Right.
If I have it on an iPad and I'm effectively filling it out as I'm doing the inspection and sending a report in, number one, the customer's happy, because the second you walk out the door, he's billed, he has his inspection report, and everything's, fine and dandy. The office isn't yelling, "Where's your inspection report?" because I can't invoice them until I get the inspection report. Your customer's not yelling, "I need my inspection report," because the FBO is coming in 2 days and I need to have all my ducks in a row. It's just the natural progression of the fire protection industry, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah. And right now, or up until a few years ago, there's still some gaps, and even moving digital is not the be all end all. You have to, your other processes down the line, including invoicing and proposals and everything, have to kind of align that way. So just move into an Excel or one of the other basic fire protection inspection platforms. It's not going to solve getting the quotation out to the customer, grabbing in sprinkler and fire alarm, usually you're not grabbing payment from the customer right away,
right?
Unless they're not going to pay or something.
Yeah,
but
pay ahead of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But why not have a credit card tied to their account, so as soon as you're logged out of that site, you're hitting their credit card, you're sending them a proposal, get those fixes done the same day.
Yep.
We have a stat out there it's from a few years ago, but if you can get a sales proposal, and this goes across a lot of different field service management platforms, but if you can get a proposal into their hands within 24 hours, you have an 80% more likelihood of it being accepted.
Really?
So yeah, because it's top of mind, they see that. So we have a platform that sends out our quotations for our platform for Inspect Point, and we have a lot of vision of what the clients are seeing, what they're, are they looking at the pricing page, or they looking at what modules they want to sign up for. So we have some of that knowledge, and we're putting that back into our platform to give that access to our customer base.
So you were talking about the modules there. Is that how you're set up with the billing? Is it, if I only want the sprinkler inspection software, it's this much. If I want sprinkler, standpipe, fire pumps, it's this much. Extinguishers is this much additionally? Or there's other inspection softwares out there that are pay per report?
Yes. Yeah, we're all in. So any fire protection you're doing, you're getting it at the same price. Now, if you want to get some of the sales features, which is really going to drive the dollars in your business, that we charge per tech. The tech could do one inspection a day. You do 5 inspections a day. So it all depends on how, but that's the SaaS, software as a service based model, where you charge per technician. The usage fees that have traditionally been there in the fire protection software game, they're kind of becoming archaic at this point, and people are getting a little fed up with, do I have to go to every device, scan it, it's 25 cents, 25 cents, 25 cents. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And then you're getting charged elsewhere as well. But so we kind of changed the model over the last 4 years. We've been doing this, moving to the SaaS model. So
Which I mean, you guys aren't standing still. You're moving forward. So it obviously it's
Yeah,
working,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
proof is there. It's not
yeah,
we're going to see how this works anymore. We're past that, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What are the, like, when the inspection reports come in from Inspect Point, if I do an inspection, does it go, like, do you guys have a database of the inspections? Is it cloud based, or is it locked into the individual organization? Obviously, I'm not going to be able to access my competition's
Correct,
inspection software, but
correct.
do you guys have access to every inspection that
But
has
we
been
have,
filed on Inspect Point?
so everything's on a port. Everybody has individual portals, right?
Right.
They're all hosted on AWS, Amazon Web Servers, which is by far the best cloud solution out there. It's backed up constantly throughout the day. So
Mhm.
if there's there is occasionally AWS outage, but I don't, it might hit for 5 minutes, once a year or something like that. So
Right.
it's pretty minimal. And it's, uh, if AWS goes down, there's way more problems. Like I think it went down a couple weeks ago and people got stuck on a Disney World ride, right?
Right.
I don't know if
Yeah.
you saw that.
I
So,
didn't
you
know.
know,
Oh, yes, I
yeah,
did, because people were
yeah,
taking pictures of the in Epcot
yeah.
on the
So,
roller coasters. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a little more problems than just, 5 minutes of down inspect point. But it, again, you're on AWS, great cloud solution. So they're kind of each contractor, each office is in their own portal. They have access to it. We have access to the portals just for maintenance purposes, or
Sure.
if you need to call us and, hey, this isn't generating right or whatever. But they own all their own data in there. Nobody else has access to it. So yeah, it's compartmentalized that way.
You have access, but you don't have access to it. You can
Access
get to it,
for
but you're not. Yeah.
exactly, because there's support. We have a great support team, and
Yep.
I think it's like 23 minutes is our average response time on tickets. So it's really fast. So
Yeah. What I was getting at with that is, do you know how many inspection reports have been generated from Inspect Point?
we do. I think we're probably pushing 5 million at this point.
Really?
Mhm.
That's
No,
amazing.
as a total. And deficiencies, reports is one thing. I think deficiencies are, I don't know the deficiencies number. I think the deficiency number is probably in the 5 to 6 million. I think that's a cooler stat because, an
It's
inspection
almost
report's inspection
related
report.
to,
Yeah,
you can almost equate that to a dollar, right? If
correct.
a deficiency is worth $500, that's
Right, right. And what is failing? What is not failing? And I know, at NFPA, they're going to be talking about some of the ITM data and all that, and I hope to get involved with some of that. So
Mhm.
at the NFPA conference coming in Boston,
Yep.
um, I know that's going to be one of the topics. So
Do you guys, are you keeping track, or is this something that, I'm sure it's something that somebody's keeping track of somewhere, but are you seeing any kind of data as far as this is a deficiency that's constantly happening, as far as a material failure? Like, are you constantly seeing drips on, upright sprinkler, pennant sprinklers obviously get hit every day, but are
right.
you seeing flow switch failed after 5 years? Like, are you starting to see things like that, like the dry pennants after five
Sure.
years test or replace? Are people starting to pick up on things like that? In my area, the dry pennants can stay in service for 30 years and nobody notices them,
Right, right.
right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, NFPA has tried to kind of rein all the data in to
mhm.
do this. They have trouble because they don't own any of the data.
Right.
And essentially, I don't own the data either. The contractor owns their own data. So it's a fine line whether, I think it's great for the industry to do that. But at the end of the day, they own their data. So I don't want to I can't be doing anything with their data, giving it to NFPA. Now, if
Right.
they opt in, if NFPA were coming out with an opt-in, I'd
Mhm.
be glad to give it up to NFPA to run that research. But and I guess there's a talk of anonymization or anonymize all the data to see what's out there. But
Mhm.
I we get paid from our service provider and contract users. They own the data, so I kind
it's
of want to
theirs.
leave it up to
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair. I didn't know if
Yeah.
there was a like an additional, not service so much, but if you guys worked with manufacturers and say like, hey, at the 5 year point, even though they've done their testing and aging testing as required, like this is an issue that seems to be coming up more than any other time,
Sure.
as opposed to a fitter calling tech support and saying, hey,
I know.
your stuff's messed up,
Yeah.
right? What do I do,
I,
right?
I think the manufacturers are a little behind in this, and I'm not taking a shot at them, but
Which one
they
specifically, Drew? Which one
uh,
specifically?
all four main manufacturers. They under, and I work for two of the biggest ones, right?
That's
And
why I said it.
they're great companies.
Yeah.
I know what I know now because of them.
Right.
So they're really good at innovating ideas for installation,
Right.
not always on the length of a building, right? You want to, if I'm a building owner, I want it installed for the life of the building, or 40 plus years, right?
Right.
Where that doesn't always happen at the manufacturer, innovation level. So and they don't know that data either. So they're kind of going in blind. So I think the data is potentially very powerful to the manufacturer to see what's happening. So
Well, and it's one of those things where like the manufacturers obviously you want to sell as much stuff as possible.
correct.
So there's a line versus I want to sell as much stuff as possible and I never want to have to replace my product, right?
Right.
Because if you never have to replace the product, you're never going to sell as much as possible, right? You got to find that balance. You want a standard response sprinkler to at least last
Right.
50 years, right?
Right.
But I mean, do you want it to fail at 52?
Yeah.
Right. Guarantees you're going to get it replaced.
I know.
But that's kind of the age that things are getting in now, is it's a throwaway age with manufacturing where,
Right.
your computer gets slow. You're going to go buy a new computer. You're not going to fix the computer, right?
Right.
Your phone
Right.
gets replaced there's people that replace their phones every like 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Apple adds
Yeah.
Apple adds a different letter to the back of their phone, and somebody's got to stand in line for 6 hours to get a new one.
Yeah, I know. And that's the name of the game when it comes to, I feel like, manufacturing. But but systems on a building, I mean, it's definitely fire alarms in place for the life of the building, right?
Right.
Sprinklers should be as well, and I think they should roll that way. Whether it's the actual sprinklers themselves, or the valves themselves. And I think the industry does a good job at doing that. It's just where the gaps, and the data is going to find those gaps to see what we look at, right?
Yeah, 100%. Where the new standards coming out for remote testing, and I know you sit on the committee for
remote inspection.
Remote inspection. Yeah. So there's
Yes.
no remote testing capabilities, or where does that sit into that standard?
So
Because that's something that I've been interested in, is finding.
Sorry to I
No,
know
that's
not to over talk people. I have a a podcast of my own, right?
Absolutely. We'll talk about that later.
So there's remote inspection, which is NFPA 915. There's a whole standard for remote inspection, and that's fire. It's for the fire protection community, but it's also outside of that for an
Right.
HGA to use on any type of inspection. So it's kind of a standard that sets up a template for an HGA to use for remote inspection, whether it's a verification of a fire alarm system, whether it's a remote inspection of fire stopping. It's essentially a template for an HGA to use to roll out a process and be okay with that. Now, remote testing is part of more on NFPA 72 and NFPA 25 for kind of doing what you are in NFPA 25 remotely, which
Right.
it is allowed. So it's in the newer editions of NFPA 72 and 25. So a fire alarm system can automatically test the devices on it remotely.
Right. Yep.
You still have to have a visual on them, so you're not skating. You're not getting rid of the the technician on site all the time. On the sprinkler side for NFPA 25, remote testing is allowed, but it has to be a UL and FM approved device for remote testing, which there hasn't really been a product yet to do that. There may be one that I'm missing or not thinking of right now,
Right.
but you still have to have a technician there doing the, you know, the weekly, monthlies, visuals and all that. So there's kind of two, it's accelerating, and it'll be exciting over the next probably 2 years. Hopefully there's some new products to do to do remote testing for sprinkler systems.
Do you think eventually the remote testing and inspection requirements are going to replace the need for on-site technicians for, say, a monthly or a
For
bi-monthly alarm test, quarterly in an FPA?
for a monthly, I think monthlies will, I mean, out of NFPA 25, is anybody really doing monthly inspections?
Some of the larger refineries that we service, we are.
Yes, critical facilities,
Yes.
totally get it. Actually, New York City, they require monthly inspections. It's like
Everybody requires them, but I mean,
it's required, right? And it's usually supposed to be the building owner to do it. So why,
right. Yep.
why can't we have the building owner do it, like with, you know, remotely through a software platform?
Right. So do you, that's the way you think it's going to go, is where it's going to be. I mean, even I mean, not, I won't say a security, but a building maintenance, sitting in front of his computer, clicking, first level flow switch, opens up a solenoid, flows water through it. He's sitting next to the panel, ground floor flow switch.
That's remote testing. So
right. Yes.
Remote inspection is more visual. I feel like remote testing, that's going to take time, because it has to get in through the code, both 25, 72, whatever you're doing. And that's going to be debated on for cycles. And you know
Constantly.
how NFPA, it's about a 7 to 8 year lag time by the time it gets adopted. So
right.
if they're not thinking of it now, this is not going to be out till 2030, right?
Well, and there's also has to be the testing for the ULC, right? ULC,
correct.
and UL and FM has to approve. And I'm assuming that they don't even have a criteria to test to as of yet.
I think they do now. I mean, I was at an NFPA 25 meeting probably 4 years ago at this point, and it was coming up. So I know certain manufacturers are working on it.
Mm-hmm.
But the code's got to follow the approval agencies, and the approval agencies have to follow the code. So it's this whole
you're running
the
in
egg
circles.
thing, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
But I think there's a solution coming, and with the lack of labor within the market, it's only going to push it forward. So,
right.
And everybody's, you know, used to remote work, and you know, a lot of things doing. You know, you're in Canada right now. I'm in, you know, outside in, you know, South Carolina, and we're having a great time. So.
If I could reach through the screen and throttle you right now, I would. Awesome. So anything else about Inspect Point you want to talk about? And then let's, I mean, before we wrap up here, how is the fire protection podcast going?
It's been a slow go the last 6 months. I had a big clean agent episode on a few weeks ago with talking about the AIM Act, which is a essentially getting rid of HFCs. So like FM 200 is being transitioned out. So that was a really good episode. There's a lot of people talking about it now. So
sure.
The last 6 months, it's been tough because of I've had to take over different roles within Inspect Point, but moving forward, I'm going to try to put out an episode or two a month. With just different, similar to what you're doing, right? Trying to focus a little bit more on fire alarm and some of the different suppression and passive fire protection that I'm not, you know, in passive fire protection, I'm not an expert in that by any stake. So would love to learn a bit more about that. I'm going to be we're at probably about 15 trade shows this year. We've got NFPA, well, the fire protection podcast will try to be at all those. And I'll try to, you know, do some on-site interviews or walk the trade show. But NFPA is in Boston. We've got AFSA and NFSA happening this year. NAFED, which is the more on the fire extinguisher and suppression side. So I'm speaking at all three of those this spring. FSSA, which is in a few weeks, that's more suppression, but a lot of big sprinkler people there. So I don't know if you saw last year, but I had the podcast live at those shows, and
Yes. Yep.
I thought it was a good time. So hopefully we get to do one together. And
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I plan on attending all four. I mean, the NFPA, AFSA, NFPA, what did I say? NFPA, AFSA, NFSA, and then SFPE.
Nice.
SFPE is in Detroit,
Oh.
which is, I mean, it's an hour from me. So,
yeah.
I mean, any of the other events, I'm flying out of Detroit anyways. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were that close to Detroit. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm an hour away. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. On a good day, I can't because I don't really golf, but I bet you most people could drive a golf ball to the States from the river where I live.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yep.
That's
Awesome.
your airport. Cool.
That's my airport. Yeah. That's where I fly from. It's cheaper. Everything's, I'm already
Get all that Detroit.
through customs.
Have you ever had Detroit style pizza? I didn't even know that was a thing.
I didn't know it was a thing until like a year ago. But
we talked about pizza on my last podcast, and somebody brought up Detroit pizza. I was like, well, I did not know about Detroit style pizza.
So I was probably maybe a year and a half ago, somebody was talking about Detroit style pizza. And then we got talking about, like, I was like, I don't know, is it similar to Windsor pizza? Like, I don't know. It's right there, right? Windsor and Detroit are a bridge away, two big cities, a bridge away. And they said, yeah, actually Windsor is also supposed to be famous for having amazing pizza as well. So I don't think the water has anything to do with it, because I don't think that's great water in the river in between them. But I mean, it might, right? A little extra something in the water.
Yeah, exactly. Right. All right. That's funny.
Awesome. Well, Drew, it's always a pleasure catching up with you and having you on. Thanks for coming on the podcast to talk about Inspect Point and pizza.
Thanks. Yeah, and pizza. And thanks to you really got this podcast thing started within the fire protection community. So a lot of big kudos to you and keeping it going and having all the people on, and kind of pushing this kind of aspect of marketing and media forward, because I think, and I like the independent style of both yours and mine, and ours as well. But because I feel like if it comes from a manufacturer or something like that, you can't talk about certain things. So I really like what you're doing, and congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, it's all 100% greed. I learn more from these podcasts than I'm sure most of the people that listen to it. So it's awesome. It gives me a great opportunity to do a lot of cool things in the industry. And I mean, this will be the first time I release it publicly on a podcast. I don't think I talked about it the other day, but that big stack of fire hose. Oh, let me get.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
What I'm working on right now is a fundraiser for Camp Bucko, which is a camp in the Toronto area for victims of burn events, kids, things like that. So what I'm going to be doing this fall is breaking the world record for the longest length of 1.5 inch fire hose connected. Wow. Which is the existing record right now is 63 kilometers, which comes to like 32 miles.
Wow.
I want to dust that. I'm going to mollywop it, and I want to get to 100 kilometers.
Where are you going to roll that out?
Well, we're still in talks with a couple different places and organizations, but it doesn't have to be a straight shot, which is a bonus. So what I'm going to do is I'm collecting hoses from the manufacturers in the area. I've kind of worked with FCFP and Classic, Vipont, Troy, all the big manufacturers,
that's great.
as well as some of the smaller ones as well are helping out in my area. And we're collecting all the old expired hoses or failed testing, because they don't have to actually hold pressure. They just have to be connected. Yeah. So we're gonna sell the hoses.
That'd be funny if you did. You should hook it up. See what happens.
So that's the math.
I know.
Friction loss. You're looking at between
couple days
3,300 lengths and 4,300 lengths of 1.5 inch fire hose to get 100 kilometers, depending if they're 75 footers. So the friction loss is going to be incredible. I thought of that initially. I was like, I wonder if we can just have if I could just stand at the end of it and then have somebody pump it up. But I'm like, I'd have to get like somebody from like Vegas or New York with one of those really high capacity pumps and have them in series, because you're looking at a lot of pressure. right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think a lot of water. You only get, well, it'll be a lot of water to drain after, but
Right.
the setup is going to be a beast. The setup's going to be a beast, and the teardown is going to be a beast. But the how we're raising the money is we're going to sell the hose for $50 a length. So your $50 donation gets you one length of hose. You can come to the event, you can couple it up, or I can send it to you after. Or we're going to donate it to an organization in the area that sends them all over the world to impoverished countries for firefighting.
Nice. That's great. That's
So
awesome.
it's going to be a double, triple kind of threat, and we're hoping to get well over $100,000 with the event.
Wow. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's going to be more releases here soon, but I mean, if I didn't have enough stuff going on, that just throw another one at me. So if anybody in the southwestern Ontario area has numerous lengths of 1.5-inch fire hose that they're looking to get rid of, donate them to the event for Camp Bucko.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, I'll let you get back to your semi-vacation working from home on the at the cottage. And thanks for coming on the podcast, Drew.
Yeah. And if anybody is interested, I put it in the intro, but inspectpoint.com /FSP for 1 free month.
Awesome.
If you're interested.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, this episode of the Fire Sprinkler Podcast is done. If you liked this episode, leave a review, comment, or hop over to my social media pages and let me know. Just search Fire Sprinkler Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Don't forget to hashtag Fire Sprinkler Podcast and anything you think I should know about or see. If you have any suggestions for future episodes of the Fire Sprinkler Podcast, email info@firesprinklerpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Take care.